I think that the biggest value about solo traveling is, first of all, instead of saying solo traveling, I say I travel with myself or by myself, because then you create a relation with yourself and you learn how to listen to yourself and honor that and act accordingly.
Hello, fellow solo adventurers, and welcome to One Words, the solo travel podcast, where we dive deep into the exhilarating world of solo exploration. I'm your travel-loving host, Anja, and today's episode is packed with inspiration as I chat with the incredible Marisol, a digital nomad originally from Chile. Growing up surrounded by the warmth of a South American community, solo travel wasn't an instinctive choice for Marisol. In a culture where opinions about life are shared by the chorus of family and friends, breaking away to travel solo became a transformative journey for her. Tune in as Marisol shares her unique perspective on discovering herself and chasing dreams through the lens of solo exploration. Her story is not just an adventure, it's a testament to the power of travel in shaping destinies and inspiring others to follow their own path. Hi Marisol, I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for coming to my podcast.
Thanks, Anja. I'm really happy to be here today as well.
I always start with the same question, and that is, what does traveling mean to you?
Traveling to me means adventure, means experiencing myself in new and different contexts. So opening up your mind and doing your best to connect with what's going on in the place where you are, how do people think, how the language works, learn as many words as possible, all that.
That's super interesting, but that sounds like when you travel, you stay longer times in one place, because if you're just like a week, would you then also learn the language or?
That's true. No, if I go for the week or maybe for the weekend, probably I'll do my best to learn how to say hello, goodbye, thank you, and that's it. But still, I always like to talk to locals and understand a little bit of the place, maybe through the food or their traditions. Always try to take something from the experience.
So how did you come to travel? What was your journey to your traveling life?
I think the first trip that opened my mind was 2003. I went backpacking in Mexico with my two best friends. It was the first time I backpacked, so I lived the experience. I was 23 years old. I lived the experience of staying in a hostel, meeting people from all over the world. That was completely new for me. And Chile is so far away that before that I hadn't met a lot of foreigners. So this was mind-blowing. And I think once I opened that door, it was impossible to close it again. After that, I was planning on coming to Southeast Asia on 2005. But a month before traveling, the tsunami happened. So instead of coming here, I went to Europe and I backpacked there for 5 months. And that was a total life changer.
Mm-hmm. Why was it a life changer?
Well, first of all, I remember the first day we arrived to Barcelona, walking in La Rambla and seeing people from all sorts of skin colors, different backgrounds, different races that I'd never seen before. That already just blew my mind. And then seeing all these ancient buildings, getting to try different food, meeting people from all over the world, traveling around was spectacular. And above all, I could experience myself very naturally without all the, I don't know if the word is pressure, but you know, your family, your friends, your culture. Here I got to be, I got to be myself for the first time. So that was very special and important for me.
Mm-hmm. So just the listeners know you come from Chile. So how would you describe growing up in Chile is like? How is the family? How is the society situation? Because my listeners are mostly like from Austria, Germany, Europe. So Chile is a foreign country, and it's very interesting to know.
Yeah, well, when I grew up, we were under a regime, a military regime. So I remember that television, music, theater, everything was pretty controlled. I remember that we had television from 9 in the morning till 12:30, 1 in the afternoon. Then transmissions were cut off and they would restart at 3 in the afternoon. There was always this sensation of somebody's watching or something might happen. So that's what I remember from that side. Family-wise, I come from a huge family. I grew up with like 14 cousins. We would meet every weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Big family. We would all go to the same school, go on vacations all together, to the beach, and we rented 4 or 5 houses. So it was always around people, around a lot of people. And people, or my family in particular, they all have ideas about how things should be, what's right, what's wrong. And when you have 5 aunts, it's like having 5 mothers. So you're being told what to do and what to think all the time. So that was kind of crazy and a lot of pressure when I was growing up. That's why being by myself in a different context was so freeing. But if I put it in a more general context about Chile, I'd say Chile works, or Chilean culture from my perspective, works a bit like an island. Because if you think of it, it's a very long country, 4,270 kilometers, something like that. The north is desert. So to the west, we have the Pacific Ocean. To the east, we have the Andes Mountains. And to the south, we have the Antarctica. So basically, we are an island. And also people who live up north do not connect, relate, or even look alike the people who live in the central area or in the south, and much less Patagonia. Mm-hmm. So Chilean people are, if you ask me in general, it's a culture that's pretty narrow-minded. I'd say the recent 20, 15 years, we've had more immigration waves, first from Peru and lately a lot from Haiti and Venezuela. So that has also, from my view, added a lot of value to the country because people from different races came with different flavors, with different, not language, but ways of speaking, different music, different food. So that has added value to the country. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we are not as flavorful as the rest of South American countries.
That's so interesting. I imagine being around family all the time, being around people all the time, it can also be hard to travel alone, no? I know you said you experienced the freedom of it, but were there times you would say, oh, I feel lonely or alone because my family is not there?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, there's been moments that I've felt lonely more than alone. What I long the most is the physical contact, the hugs, we are very touchy in general. So the physical contact, it's something I really have missed. And sharing, sometimes you're in a beautiful place or eating something that's nice, or I'm snorkeling and it's so beautiful. And I wish I could share it with different people from my family or my friends. So that I do miss. On the other hand, when you grew up surrounded by so many people, in my case, at some point, I didn't know who I was and what I wanted and what I liked. So in a way, this trip, this adventure, or my quests have to do a little bit with being by myself and recognizing who I am. Mm-hmm. So most of the time throughout this trip this year, it's been about being with myself, connecting with myself, and really getting a deeper understanding of who I am.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that is something very special to solo travel, like getting those experiences?
Yes, definitely. Well, there's the freedom to do whatever you want wake up the time you want to wake up, choose if you go to this place or the other place. And if you're not into certain things, you go to others. For example, I'm not very much into temples. So I have visited only a few. And I don't feel the pressure that I have to go because I am with someone else. I do not have to respond to anybody but myself. So that's amazing. Still, when you travel solo, has the benefit that you meet a lot of people who are also solo traveling and that they have the same mindset. So you can connect, but it's so relaxed to, oh, you know what? You go there, I go here, we meet in 1 hour, 2 hours, and there's no pressure. I really appreciate that. Though still, sometimes it would be nice to have a companion, or a close friend to travel with for certain periods. I do miss that sometimes, though it's still okay because in the end I choose to keep traveling, notwithstanding the fact that it would be nice to have someone. Between not doing it or doing it by myself, I do it by myself.
Do you think that's a phase, or do you think you will keep that?
For the time being, I would like to keep nomading and living in different places, or maybe coming back here, until I say enough. But right now, I love this way of life.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
You said nomading because you changed your life, your work life around it for traveling?
Yes. Well, I've been working from home for many years. However, last year I was living in the south of Chile in the middle of the forest. And I realized if I can do this here, I can do it anywhere in the world. So I did sell the law firm I had founded because for that kind of job, I do need to be in Chile for certain procedures, legal procedures, and sold everything I had and decided just to move around with a backpack, reduce my possessions to the minimum, because that gives you, the freedom to move around. And I've been traveling around Southeast Asia since the 2nd of January, 2003.
Why Southeast Asia?
Because I didn't get to come on 2005, and it was my long life dream. In Europe, I met my former husband, who's Dutch. So basically all of my vacations, I would go to Europe. So now that I had the opportunity, I said, I'm going to, fulfill my dream. And it hasn't disappointed a bit.
I'm glad. Where have you been in Southeast Asia?
Well, I began in Thailand. I did Koh Samui, Koh Tao, Koh Phangan, Koh Lanta, Koh Lipe, Penang, a lot of islands. Then I went to the north. Then I flew to Cambodia and stayed there for a month. Then I went to Vietnam, where I saw a lot of the country. I was there 2 months, went for 2 weeks to India, to the Himalayas of India. That was also quite an experience and a big change because I'd been in tropical places, really warm, and then I found myself in the middle of the mountains with snow and having to wear a lot of clothes. It was a very interesting change of scenery. Then I went back to Vietnam and I did the north and the Ha Giang Loop. My God, I'm going back. It's fantastic. And then came to Thailand. That's when I discovered this beautiful island. Stayed here for a month and a half. Went to Indonesia for a month and a half. And that was a really cool experience because Bahasa, the language, it's so much easier to learn. Especially they have Latin letters. So within a month I was not fluent, but I could speak a lot of Bahasa. So I loved it. And the snorkeling in Bali, in Amet, wonderful. And then I'm finishing this first attempt of nomading here on the island for 2 months. And then I'll go to Chile for a couple of months. And my plan is to probably return to Asia.
Okay. It's also easy to travel in Asia, no? That's my experience. A lot of backpackers, of course, a lot of solo travelers, but it's very relaxing, I think.
It's relaxing, it's easy. And one of the things I like the most, it's safe. As a woman, I've never felt uncomfortable. And also, if you, like property-wise, I go to the beach, I leave my bag with my mobile, with money, I go swimming for 1 hour and I don't even think of it. Even sometimes I leave my cabin, my bungalow, I leave it open and my passport is there, my credit cards, I leave the motorbike with the keys everywhere. And the peace that brings, I think has a value that can only be found in certain places.
Yeah. It's islands mostly, whereas I remember distinctly the first time I came here, Vicky said to me, because I wanted to pay for the month at my house, and she was like, oh, you can pay whenever, you can't leave anyway without me knowing. It's super, yeah, and that's super relaxing, that's true.
Yeah, it's nice, it's relaxing.
Yeah, yeah. You said solo travel gave you a lot of freedom, and family-wise, you don't feel the pressure. What about friends? Have you many friends now around the world, or are most of them still in Chile? How do you keep in touch?
Well, I've used technology on my favor because I stay connected. I do FaceTime. With my mom, I speak on camera almost every day because she goes to bed very late. So while I'm having breakfast, I call her. So technology has been very useful to stay in touch with my family and my friends back home. And here, wow, I've met so many people. I've been meaning to make a list of all the names of the people I've met from so many different places, so many different backgrounds. It's been wonderful. And some I know they will be friends for life. In fact, when I was in Cambodia, I met an English friend who I'd met on 2005 backpacking. We hadn't seen each other for 18 years, and we were both in Cambodia at the same time. That was wonderful. So, yeah. Great experience to, be able to meet after so many years. Yeah. And now I'm meeting a friend who I met in April. Mm-hmm. She went back to her work in Europe and now she's back to Thailand and we're meeting next week.
That's so great.
So when that happens, because I feel that traveling or backpacking time is way more intense than normal life. So you can spend 1 week with someone and the bond you create, the intensity, it's as if you've known each other for many years. So when you meet again, it's like, oh, now we're friends for life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, because you have so many experiences together. Like first, I always say it's like, when you meet at home, it's 6 months, and on the island, for instance, because you see each other every day or multiple times a day, even if you don't like make an appointment for it, like 6 months in 1 week, how you get to know each other.
Exactly.
And also the conversations are different, no? Because, like the background is almost the same. Work isn't that interesting. Maybe it's just where have you been? Where do you go? What was interesting? But then you switch other stories, like more personal, I think.
I agree. And something else? When you're in this context, in general, people are more present. Mm-hmm. So it's not about what's about to happen. It's about what's happening.
Yeah.
So then I also feel that you take advantage and you enjoy life and the moment more fully. So it's like, okay, I might be with you or enjoy this time with you for 5 days, 3 days. Maybe even sometimes you meet someone having a coffee before you take a bus or a boat. But it's those 5 minutes, half an hour that you're entirely present and connected to the person. And that is one of the things I enjoy about traveling. People are open to that connection and just not thinking, okay, this is the last time I'll ever see you. No. I'm seeing you now. Mm-hmm. And that's the value. That's the important part.
Mm-hmm. How did you change through travel? How is it now for you going back to Chile or even talking to your family, your mom? Do you feel that something's changed in the relationship or yourself?
Wow, so much. Oh, about myself, it's... I think more and more I've learned who I am, and what I enjoy is to be relaxed. I love the fact that I don't need much I walk around with the same flip-flops for the past 4 months. And for me, it would be crazy to think about wearing high heels. That's something very material, but it's important, I don't like drama. So going back home and I talk to people and they talk about the politics or the economical situation or the weather. And now that it's summer, forest fires are starting. So people are, in general, have a very negative mindset or focused on the bad things. Whereas I'm coming with I'm focusing on the good. I'm not saying the bad doesn't exist. I work with that too. It's just, I choose to put my energy and my attention to these things. So sometimes it's hard to go back after you've opened up your mind so much to a point where people are the same where you left them. Because it's like I come fully expanded. So somewhere in my mind, I feel that to connect with them, to relate, I have to contract myself. And that's one thing I don't really like. So I'm putting a lot of energy on staying present and just see what happens when I'm there. Because if I start pondering, visualizing different scenarios, most likely I'll go to the negative ones. And I really want something nice to happen from it. And this nice energy I'm bringing, this nice experience, to really transmit it in a nice way that it can maybe even provide something new for my friends and family.
Did you inspire for other people in your friends or family to travel more? As you said, as it opened up so many doors for you in your mind, the freedom, did it inspire other people around you to go traveling or?
Yes, certainly. My younger sister, until recently, she was living a very similar life. So I think I inspired her. And for the rest, if you ask me now quickly, I cannot pinpoint someone in particular, but a lot of people have told me that the fact that I follow my dream have inspired them to follow theirs. Maybe not in the traveling area or context, but in others.
Yeah, that's very beautiful, no? To hear something like that.
Yes. And some other people really get mad at you.
Yeah.
Because you are showing them what they are not doing with their life. So you get both sides,
Yeah, I get that.
A lot of people tell me, I envy you, but it's a healthy envy. And for me, there is not such thing as healthy envy. So I really don't like when people tell me that because I feel just a little bit of anger in those words of resentment. But it's just because they are not satisfied or happy with what they're doing. I'm not saying everybody should sell everything and go traveling because that's a way of life that it's nice for some people, not for everyone. I'm just saying, follow your dreams, be true to yourself. If you're not happy where you are, well, look around and see what would make you happy. Whether it's changing city, changing job, getting a divorce, maybe start sporting, whatever it is, just do it.
That's true. And it's also traveling isn't easy. It looks easy from the outside, I think, but it's not every day is a good day.
Exactly.
And you have to fight for it too. And you had to work to make this dream happen, and you still do. So that's also an important part to look at, to see it's not like a vacation without an ending.
Yeah, it has a lot of pros and cons.
If I say a really special experience on your travels, like a story, what comes to your mind?
Oh, so many. But the first one that came was snorkeling in the secret gillies in Lombok, Indonesia. What I saw under the water, even words cannot explain the beauty, the colors of. It was like an endless garden of coral, green, pink, purple, blue. And it was like flying on top of this beautiful world with all sorts of fish swimming around and this blue starfish. I really was, what's the word? my breath was taken away. I was speechless. Well, I was underwater, of course, but I just felt so happy, so present, so fulfilled of just seeing this beauty. That was, wow. Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. Secret gillies. I heard from the gillies. Is it the same?
No, it's not the same. The gillies are a little bit north of Lombok, and the secret gillies are off the coast of Lombok in the southwest of Lombok.
Okay.
It's like between 6 or 8 really small islands, very pristine. Nobody lives there. You just go with a boat and snorkel around, and they're also a recovering coral, but most of it, the amount of coral is outstanding.
Oh, wow.
And so the water is so transparent.
Do you dive too?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. That's for next year. That's one of the reasons why I want to come back.
To make your diving license.
Yes, exactly. But I've snorkeled as much as I can. I've been able to.
Have you snorkeled around this island too?
Yes. Last Saturday, we went from Aolom swimming to Kopi. And in the beginning, I was a bit like, I'm not going to swim that way. But once we got there, oh my God, so beautiful. So many anemones and different fish and the coral. Wow. Yes. And I go swimming every day, here in Aosun or lazy days. Even though it's not I've seen prettier. It's so relaxing to swim around the corals, see the fish. I like it.
Don't you get scared that there's something coming up at you? I don't know. Not sharks, but, other things.
Sometimes my mind starts playing those pictures and I have to control it.
Okay.
I say, no. Be present. You're here. It's okay. And sometimes I'm amazed. In the beginning, I was super scared. But I've been doing it for so long that now I'm very relaxed. Still, sometimes it's a bit like, maybe I'm too deep. Or I would like to look under a rock, but I don't know what I'm going to find. So I say, okay, don't look, just keep swimming. But the more you do it, the less scared you are and the more natural it becomes. Still, always you have to keep track of your mind, not to let her go there. You're in charge.
How are you about adrenaline seeking or pushing yourself out of your comfort zone? Is it something that comes easy to you?
Pushing myself out of the comfort zone, yes, but I'm not an adrenaline junkie.
Okay.
I take very calculated risks in general.
What would you think would have, or is the most riskiest thing you did so far on your travels?
One night, I was at a bar and it started pouring, and had to drive with a bike back to my bungalow. And I was very scared because nobody was on the road. I have to cross 2 forests to get to my bungalow. I could hardly see from the wind and the water. So my heart was pounding, and it might seem like something, that's not so crazy. But for me that night, I graduated with honors.
I'm glad you did, but it's a good point. We don't think about that. No, I just thought when you told that about home, Austria, where it's snowing, so you get into a situation where you have to drive with a heavy snow or being the streets not cleaned and stuff. So yes, this is risky. Not throwing yourself off aeroplane or something.
No. Other things would be, I've snorkeled in the middle of the ocean, the boat stops, okay, go into the water. And I'm like, there might be big sharks here. Nah, it's okay, just go into the water. Okay. But besides that, as I tell you, my going out of the comfort zone is more in staying in a hostel or being in a town where nobody speaks English. So you have to act out to make people understand you. Or maybe saying no to someone and risking that they look at you in an ugly way or, things like that. But adrenaline wise, I'm not very into that area.
what kind of traveler are you? Like in a accommodation sense of way, because you said before you stay in a hostel. Is this your normal go-to place, or are you more comfortable in an Airbnb? How do you?
Yeah, well, because I work and I wake up at 4 a.m. Due to time difference, I prefer to have my own space. So normally I stay in Airbnbs or, 3-star hotels because generally private rooms in hostels are more expensive than a hotel room or an Airbnb. Some places I've stayed in hostels, in dorms, but I snore very loud. So I feel super bad when I stay in a hostel, and so I try to avoid it. But a couple of times I've had to stay in hostels, and well, tough luck, it's a hostel.
Oh, yeah.
And most of the time people are super relaxed. Once I introduce myself, I tell them, well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I snore very loud, but I'm carrying earplugs. So if you want, here you can take your own earplug.
Aww, that's nice.
But I'm not a fancy traveler. You see on Instagram all these influencers that stay in like wonderful, amazing hotels. And that's not reality when you're traveling like this. Besides, I like staying with locals because then again, you meet people, you learn about their culture, they share with you, they teach you things, you teach them things. It's also part of this opening up your mind.
And how about food?
Well, I'm pescatarian, so I only eat fish and seafood plus everything vegetarian and vegan. So usually when I'm inland, I go full vegetarian or vegan because there are no seafood options. So in general, it's been okay. But I remember I was in Dalat in Vietnam. It was late at night. And the area I was staying was not touristic, so people wouldn't speak English. And when I translated the menus with the camera, the results made no sense. It was like, no crybaby menu, for big fat people menu. And I was like, what is this? And I was really hungry. So I tell the lady, I do the sign that I want to eat, with my hand. And I say, point at myself and I say, no, no, moo, no, pok, 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 pok. And the lady was laughing, but she understood that I wanted vegetarian food. So she prepared me like a vegetarian pho. And that was really funny. And I've had to do that a couple of times, but usually food in Asia is so diverse that they can always prepare either an omelette or something with tofu. So that's been fine. And by now, my tolerance to spicy food, it's unbelievable.
Okay.
I'm really good at it.
Is Chilean food spicy?
No, not really.
No.
You can always find beside in a table, like a pot or something with chilies, and if you like, you put, but in general, it's not spicy.
Okay. Is there some food you miss in Asia?
Cheese.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Cheese. And, well, coming from Chile, wine. So I think as soon as I get home, it's going to be bread, a nice bread, lots of cheese and wine.
You should go to France.
Well,
yeah, in Chile, of course. But
yeah, and we get nice Dutch cheese. So we're okay on that area.
So good. Yeah, cheese. I know that problem.
Yes. For the rest, avocado, which is my favorite. There's pretty good avocado here. So
yeah, there's plenty. You eat a lot of spicy now. You've been to a lot of places around the world. What would be a place you want to visit next, like of Southeast Asia?
Good question. Well, there's a lot of places in Brazil. I've been to Brazil twice, but Brazil is huge. It's like a whole continent. So I would like to explore Brazil. I would love to go to Middle East, north of Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia. I would love to go to Mongolia and Nepal. Probably those are going to happen next year if I come back to Asia. I have not been to Malaysia and Philippines. I've heard Perhentian Islands in Malaysia are gorgeous, so that's a place I'd like to go to as well. those are, if you ask me, like right here, right now, places I would like to visit. Well, I've not been to Colombia either. Those are closer to Chile, so that would be easier with friends and family.
That's true. I've never been to South America, or Middle America, so I still have to go there. I would come to an end. If you want to tell something more, please do. If there's something special you think you haven't said yet.
I think that the biggest value about solo traveling is, first of all, instead of saying solo traveling, I say I travel with myself or by myself, because then you create a relation with yourself and you learn how to listen to yourself and honor that and act accordingly. So that's been super beautiful, powerful, and important for me. And that makes it easier also to relate with other people. So I encourage everyone to connect with themselves in the way that they can, whether it's through sports or dancing or traveling or whatever. It's just realizing that you will always be with yourself, because then you stop being afraid of abandonment, of loneliness, because in the end you're never alone. You know, and it's normal sometimes to miss human touch, human connection, to miss other people. That's normal. But if you look around, you'll always find it. And there's always FaceTime, WhatsApp, Google Meet. Yeah. You can connect with people back home.
That's true. That's true. That's good advice and a very good phrase to rephrase solo travel. In the end, I always do kind of a word wrap. So I give you like 2 examples. You have to pick one, or I give you a sentence and you say what first comes to your mind.
Okay.
So, bed or breakfast?
Breakfast.
Desert or jungle?
Jungle.
Lake or ocean?
Ocean.
5-star hotel or camping van?
That's a hard one. But I go to camping van.
Being alone means to you?
Presence and connection.
And being lonely?
Disconnection from yourself.
3 things you take everywhere?
Body lotion, sunglasses, and my tobacco case.
What advice would you give a person that never in their life traveled solo?
Start easy. Maybe a weekend trip. Get to know yourself in that context. Go from small to big.
Thank you so much, Marisol, for being here and for talking to me and telling your story. And I hope you come back to Southeast Asia and continue your travels soon, and we'll meet again.
Thank you so much for having me, Anya. It's been a pleasure, and I hope so too, and I'm working towards that.
Thanks.
As our solo travel journey with Marisol comes to a close, I hope you're feeling as inspired as I am by her incredible story. Thank you, fellow wanderers, for joining us on this episode of One Words, the solo travel podcast that aims to ignite your passion for solo exploration. Marisol's experiences are a testament to the transformative power of solo travel, reminding us all that the world is a vast playground waiting to be explored. I hope her story has sparked a fire within you, encouraging you to take that leap into the unknown, embrace the beauty of solo adventures, and discover the extraordinary connections that await. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit subscribe, and please share your thoughts and stories with us. Connect with me on social media using #OneWords, and let's continue this incredible journey together. Until next time, fellow solo travelers, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and always move onewards. And as I like to say, don't listen to us, go find out.